Hi everyone, Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for liking and subscribing so we can expand the Sangha, yeah? We're going to continue with the wonderful and difficult to understand law. This is a long one. I don't know, we might be getting close to the closing pages. Yeah, we're going to finish this one today. Okay. Quick announcement before we dive into it. I just did a whole video about this, so you can watch that if you have questions. But I'll just put up something I've put up on the threefoldlotus.com site, is I've gone ahead and put a link on the home page for the ebook of this lecture series on the Daimoku, and that will send you to the bookstore, which the bookstore itself doesn't list the electronic publishing. But this link on the Threefold Lotus will take you to the bookstore just to purchase this electronic version. You can see it's a little over $5. They charge me to provide the space to hold the book and to handle the logistics of payments and all of that. It's well worth it. So that I don't have to hire an accountant or use my befuddled old mind to keep track of the financials. Anyway, point being that, especially for those of you in other countries, sometimes buying a print book can be a big either a problem or expense because of customs and taxes and shipping and so on. The ebook allows you to get, for a very small donation, an immediate satisfaction in your hands. It doesn't have to ship, right? It's electronic. I don't know if they give you a download link and then you follow that to download once you make the payment. I'm not sure how that works. If you guys know, let me know so that we can inform everyone. But it's an experiment. I want to see how this works. I want to see if it works for you. And if it does, I may start making more of the books from the bookstore, the print bookstore, available as electronic downloads, purchases and downloads. I'm thinking that could be really useful for those of you in other countries who have been put off by the difficulties or the costs of buying a print book through Lulu. Let me know. So anyway, that's out there. Think about that. Anything I can do to provide the resource for your practice. That's what this whole effort is about, right? All right, so we'll continue with a question. Nichiren asks, the great teachers such as Nanhui, Tien-Tai, and Dengyo employed the Lotus Sutra, the MyoHoRenGeKyo, to spread widely the perfect teaching of the one vehicle. But why did they not recite Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo? Why are you the first one to come up with this? Why is that? Does this mean that they did not know about the lotus of the entity? Or that they failed to understand it? And I will interject here because I've done videos on this before. Tien-Tai talked about MyoHoRenGeKyo. All of these people talked about MyoHoRenGeKyo. They didn't talk about invoking it as the actual practice, but they talked about the Lotus Sutra as the actual practice. So in a way, they were talking about it, but when you hear Nichiren answer this, I'm sure he'll point out it just wasn't the time. People wouldn't have understood that. They would have made it magical or mystical without understanding the depth of the teaching and the very reason, the ultimate teaching of Shakyamuni's Lotus Sutra to be the self-actualization of Buddha-ness. This is our capacity, bodhisattvas of the earth. This is our time. We can get that. People of earlier eras, they would mislead themselves. They wouldn't understand the pragmatic reality of the mind and its function in the engine of life. This is the way that I read it, and now we'll hear how Nichiren answers this. Answer. It is said that the great teacher Nanhui was an embodiment of Bodhisattva perceiver of the world sounds. Remember the personages in Buddhism, in Buddhahood, in Buddhist discussions, right? And that the great teacher Tien-Tai was an embodiment, it says incarnation here, but that's translation bias, was an embodiment of Bodhisattva Medicine King. Right? We understand embodiment is to embrace completely like we're trying to embody Nichiren in our practice, right? He tells us to. We're not an incarnation of Nichiren. That's ridiculous. That's not Buddhist thinking. So this translation that says that, don't be misled by it. In fact, I should change that. Oh, I see another revision coming. So the great teacher Tien-Tai as an embodiment of Bodhisattva Medicine King. If so, then they were present on Eagle Peak when the Buddha preached the lifespan chapter of the essential teaching, and at that time they became enlightened to the lotus of the entity. So again, Nichiren's always using the story of the Lotus Sutra to remind people that this is the mechanism by which we enter Buddhahood. And that entrance he's labeled as the highest observation of life, or Go-Honzon. But when they appeared in the world as Nanhui and Tien-Tai, respectively, they knew it was not the right time to spread the wonderful and difficult to understand law. Therefore, for the words wonderful and difficult to understand law, they substituted the term concentration and insight, and instead engaged in the meditation on the 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, and in the practice of the threefold contemplation in a single mind. That's really, really important. That's key to understanding why Nichiren's doctrine isn't new. He didn't invent anything. But what he pointed out is that now that our minds are mature enough to understand that each moment of thought is itself a passing through, a sorting out of 3,000 possible karmic flows, that we now understand that by seizing upon the one flow of Buddhahood, we can redirect all 3,000 realms toward the instantiation of enlightenment, Buddhaness, Buddhahood. This is our time, our facility, our capacity to do this is in this 10,000 year period or more. But even these great teachers recited Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo as their private practice, and in their hearts they understood these words to be the truth. It's not that they were ignorant of it. They simply had to teach it in their day from a perspective of achieving the capacity to invoke that truth. Concentration and insight is what we do when we chant to this mandala. This is what Nichiren developed. This functional, attention-focusing invocation of Buddhaness. And for that, thank you, Nichiren. Yes? Thus, the great teacher Nanhui, in his method of repentance through the Lotus Sutra, employs the words Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo. The great teacher Tien-Tai employs the words Namu Byododai Ichijo Myo HoRenGeKyo. Keisho MyoHoRenGeKyo and Kimyo Myo MyoHoRenGeKyo, and the document concerning the vow taken by the great teacher Dengyo on his deathbed carries the words Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo. Because MyoHoRenGeKyo is the Lotus Sutra. And Namu is the singular dedication to that envelope, that door, the entity. So Nichiren isn't the first. Nichiren is our compatriot in this time and capacity. It simply was taught to a different capacity in a different way previously. It's not that it was absent. Right? Even in Shakyamuni's time, 3,000 years ago, MyoHoRenGeKyo was there. Everyone knew it. They couldn't understand how to attain it, how to invoke it, how it would be valid for their capacity in their time. Okay. That doesn't invalidate it. It just shows that people had a long way to go. You wouldn't expect your 6-year-old in school to understand quantum physics or calculus or even the great writings of Shakespeare. They might get some inkling, but they don't have the life experience, right? The capacity to really understand. Same thing with the evolution of mankind. Question: the evidence you've presented is perfectly clear. But if these men understood the truth, as the evidence indicates that they did, then why did they not spread a knowledge of it abroad? Okay, answer. There are 2 reasons. First of all, the proper time to do so had not yet arrived. Second, these men were not the persons entrusted with the task of doing so. Oh yeah, in the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni, in the Lotus Sutra, says to all of the hundreds of thousands of bodhisattvas and various people, even leopard people, whatever, all rose up from their seats. We'll do it. We'll secure it into the future. And Shakyamuni said, thank you, but no, you're not the ones. What? This is when you and I appear, the bodhisattvas from under the earth, the future bodhisattvas. You guys, you and I, will be those who spread this teaching well into the future, who propagate this for posterity. It's in the sutra. It is the 5 characters of MyoHoRenGeKyo that are the great pure law that will be spread widely in the latter day of the law. And it is the great bodhisattvas who sprang up from the earth in numbers equal to the dust particles of 1,000 worlds to whom this was entrusted. It was for this reason that those such as Nanhui, Tien-Tai, and Dengyo, though in their hearts they clearly perceived the truth, left it to the leader and teacher of the latter day to spread it widely, while they themselves refrained from doing so. Now, that's the end of this, and now there's a, well, do we have time? Oh yeah, lots of time. There's a cover letter. So you remember this whole treatise was sent to Sarenbo, right? One of Nichiren's close disciples who had, I believe Sarenbo was an Embutsu priest or Pure Land, pure word. I think it was Nembutsu. No. He was a Tien-Tai, but Tien-Tai in the day of Nichiren was not what it was when Dengyo was around, right? So, as a Tien-Tai monk, he was very well aware of these teachings, but Nichiren was making a whole lot of sense. So he became a very avid follower of Nichiren's. No wonder that Nichiren would create such a document, which for us, yay, literally dissects the Daimoku and how it works, why it works, right? What it is. So in the cover letter, he starts with a question. The lotus of the entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law is difficult to understand, duh, and therefore metaphor is used to make its meaning clear. But is there any example in the sutras to support such a practice? Answer, the sutra says, quote, they are unsoiled by worldly things like the lotus flower in the water, emerging from the earth. Right? About the bodhisattvas emerging from under the earth. Here we see that the bodhisattvas of the earth are the lotus of the entity of the wonderful and difficult to understand law, and that the lotus is being used here as a simile. But I will write to you about this again at some future time. We, the bodhisattvas of the earth, are the very instantiation, and we embody MyoHoRenGeKyo. This teaching represents the ultimate principle of the entire Lotus Sutra. It is the ultimate purpose of the Thus Come One Shakyamuni's advent, as well as the heart and core of the Lotus Sutra, which was entrusted to the great bodhisattvas who sprang up from out of the earth so that they might spread it widely in the latter day of the law. Only when the ruler of our nation has shown himself to have resolve and conviction may this doctrine be revealed. But until then, it should remain a private teaching. I, Nichiren, have just completed transmitting it to you, Sairinbo. Wow. So there's a lot of background in here. You guys can read that if you're interested. Yeah, lots of background. This is a very important letter. And it may be, and this is why I've included it in this book, a central work. And as I've said before, whether you get the print book or the e-book, wherever you read this Gosho, it is a very complete discourse on the meaning of what we chant, which is one of those primary questions that comes up with people who just start practicing or practicing for years. And what am I doing? Right? Reread this Gosho. You'll know. And the more you practice, right? I've been practicing for over 40 years easily. I read it, I still get insights. Because the mind, yeah? We evolve, we change, we experience the same old things every day, but in a new way. Because moment to moment to moment, everything is moving. Everything is evolving. Nothing stays still. Looks like it's static. Looks like that chair's been there all along. But one day I'm going to sit in it and fall to the floor. Because the chair is not static. It is changing moment to moment to moment, just like you, your mind. All right. Thank you for listening along. Thank you. This has been a tremendous. We have a couple of more. The next one, The Real Aspect of the Gohonzon. Should be an interesting read, yeah? And a few more after that, a couple more. So yeah, if this book can be a very deep assist to your confidence in your practice, knowing what you're doing, yeah? As any study will provide you confidence and a wealth of context to your practice, yeah? So keep doing that. Keep your practice strong. Be kind to yourself. Take care of your health. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's very important to grow this Sangha. So all of you who have, deeply appreciate your commitment. Those of you new here, please don't be timid. Use the comments or email me directly if you don't want to be that public. Totally understand. That's why I tell people tlksylvain@gmail.com. If you can think of a way, again, I asked in the last video on, what am I going to call that video? Announcement? I'll call it announcement. Or EPUB announcement, something like that. If you've got some ideas on how I could do this without incurring a bunch of costs and logistics, I think I found the easiest way to do it through Lulu and make these ebooks available. Or maybe you just think, don't waste your time on ebooks. We'll just get the print version. Just make sure the print versions are accurate. I hear you. How I can convince Amazon to play ball, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know how much power I have over them. That's why I would rather just stick to Lulu, because at least I have one point of connection there. But I do want to make these books available internationally. So the ebooks may be the easiest way to do that. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Again, take care. Thank you. Bye for now. Myo.